Hello and welcome to this Vivid tutorial. My name is Catherine Watson. I'm the lead clinical product specialist for cardiovascular ultrasound UK and Ireland for GE Healthcare. This tutorial is part 3 of our measurement package series. Please make sure you have watched part 1 and part 2 before you watch this tutorial. During this session I'm going to show you how to add equations and calculations to your measurement package on both your ultrasound systems and also your EchoPack software. On your ultrasound system, you simply need to go to the More tab on the touchscreen. You then need to select the Utility tab and then the Configuration tab. On your EchoPack software, you just need to go to the Configuration tab at the top left of the screen. From here, you need to select Measure and Text, which is a tab along the top of the screen, and then make sure that you are in the Measurement menu tab. Before we start to add any measurements to our folder or any calculations, we need to ensure that we know the parameters and the corresponding measurements that make up the equation. We also need to make sure we know where these measurements are located within our measurement package. So the first example I'm going to show you is how to add an indexing calculation to one of the LV measurements. So in order to do this, I first need to think about what mode I'm in when I take the measurement. So I do my LV measurements from my 2D images. So the mode in the center here needs to be selected as 2D as it is. If I was adding a calculation to a Doppler measurement or to a measurement I take in M mode, then I would just simply select the corresponding options according to the mode I'm in. From here I need to think about where the measurement is, so which folder do I find it in when I take the measurement. So my left ventricle measurements are always in my dimensions folder, so I need to go to the dimension tab on the right hand side. This will open up the folder and I can see all of the different measurements from within this folder. So I'm going to add my indexing calculation to my LV dimension for diastole. So I've selected the measurement from the list and I simply need to click on it. And then if I move over to the left hand side, I can now start to add the equations to this particular measurement. So all I need to do is just click below the list into the space and it will create a new calculation line for me. I then need to double click where it says name and then I need to label the calculation. So I'm going to call this LVID D, and then I'm going to do it divided by BSA for body surface area. I now need to click to the right hand side where it says calculated, and this will open up my edit formula box. Now this box is where you enter the equation that you're going to be using, and you also select the particular measurements that need to go into that equation. So the first measurement in my equation is my left ventricular internal diameter in diastole. So I need to select this from the 2D measurement drop down option list. If I start to type LV, you can see the list that appears. So I can just scroll down now and find my LV internal diameter dimension, and I can see this is the correct measurement here. So I can tell it's correct because it tells me the label and it tells me which folder I find that label in, so I know this is the correct measurement. So if I click on this, that measurement now populates into the formula box at the bottom. I then need to put the divided by sign in. So on my console I select the backslash, and I now need to add the body surface area part of the equation. So I need to go back to my 2D 4D drop down list, and if I start to type BSA, you can see that it appears at the top there, and now I can select it and it will add to my formula box at the bottom. Once I've completed this, I need to add the units for this particular equation. So this is centimeters per meter squared. Once I am happy, I can click on the check mark. So this will just check that I've added the equation correctly, and you will see that I have a syntax OK highlighted. I now need to click on OK, and this will save the calculation to that measurement, and you can see it at the bottom of the list there. You can see the units just after the calculation, and you can also see how many decimal places, the precision that the calculated value will be displayed as. So at the moment it's saying 3 decimal places. Now I want to change this to 2. So in order to do that, I need to activate the ability to adjust that setting. So to do that, I need to go to the Advanced tab at the top of the screen. And then in the box below where it says Application Specific Parameters, I need to scroll down the list until I find one that says Use Standardized Precision. And I need to change it from being on to switching it off. And that means that I can then adjust the decimal places as I see fit. So if I click and then from the drop down select off. I need to go back into my measurement menu tab at the top of the screen. And then I need to go back to my measurement that I was making the calculation adjustments to. And now I can change my precision just by clicking, and then from the drop down I can select the decimal places that I want. So I'm going to select 2. So that completes how to add an indexing equation to a measurement in your package. As long as you know which parameters and which measurements that you are adding to your equation, and as long as you know the equation that you need to use, you can technically add anything into this measurement package. I strongly advise that you check all of your equations and test them on an image to ensure that the calculations are producing the numbers that you are expecting. This concludes this tutorial. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you found it useful.